It's official, like a referee with a whistle. So like and share this episode. So we back with another update of the Karmelo Anthony case of this teenage boy, basically 18 years old, young kid. I talked about this case probably 2 times so far, and it's looking like he's gonna be he has a trial date. His trial date is June the 1st, 2026. His trial date is June 1st, 2026. That's when his trial begins. And it's looking, and he's being charged for first degree murder. So he's being overcharged for what it looks like and sounds like self-defense. Now, there's another video that they have that hasn't been released based on the attorney, his attorney, and the DA, based on what they said. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if that video is going to be allowed to be in the case, in the court, once the trial begins. Because I don't know if you notice, just because they have all this evidence, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be allowed in the case. There's been plenty of times where this has happened to people, where it's like what we thought was going to be allowed never happened. And I heard this little town where he live at in Texas is one of them old hicknick towns. You know, one of them towns where everything is rigged, basically. You know what I'm saying? Where them good old boys. One of them type of towns. Everything is rigged. Everybody know each other. One of them type of towns. You know, if I had an attorney, or if, I would tell my attorney, I want my trial in Dallas, someplace like Dallas. I think Dallas is the closest city to where this family's from, where this kid is from, if I'm not mistaken. You know, so he's being charged first degree murder as a 17-year-old. You know, now he just turned 18. So, Texas have some harsh laws. They used to say in Texas, whatever happens in Texas, is bigger. That was an old saying when I was growing up. I used to hear people talk like that. But I had a conversation with my nephew the other day, and he was telling me, how the hell can you defend yourself and end up in trouble. I was like, bro, that shit happens all the time. You know, people, there's someone defending themselves right now. And the person that instigated the threat, once everything is said and done, he or she is going to be the victim of the crime. I mean, which is a backwards way of thinking, even imagine something like this happening. But I had experience like this in the past when I was growing up. Yeah, I've had experience like this before where I was in school, high school, and this guy was a kind of known to be a bully. And as soon as I punched him in the mouth, I get suspended. But he didn't get suspended. So you mean, how can this shit even happen? It happens. The reason why it continues to happen. And P.S. and by the way, I've been out of school for 32 years. I've been out of school, 33 years. I've been out of high school for 33 years. Right? And it's 2025. And the same shit that happened when I was in school, it still happens today. Matter of fact, I haven't really seen anything change much change in 20 years. I see the same shit happening today I seen 20 years ago. And some people say, well, why it keep happening? It keeps happening because, number one, we don't live in a perfect world. Number two, we live in a world with bad leadership. And people abuse their power and authority. That's why things keep happening the way it keeps happening. Rather, you can look at your job, you can look at this on a low level. Your job to your family, people in your family, your job, people within the local government, state government, federal government, the police. It's an abuse of power. That's why things keep happening the way it does. And it's been going on for so long. It's like it's just too many people involved in the corruption, in the abuse of power within the state level, local level, and the federal level. And even in the counties. It's been going on for so long. It's like one person can't make a huge change by himself. Now, maybe you can start it, put a dent in it, but it's going to take a collaborative effort by a group of people to make changes. I think it always has been that way. Or something has to collapse, like a reset, like the pandemic, something like that. That changes environments, landscape, financial systems, etc. Or the streets. The streets change things as well. Our military, like veterans, they change things as well. This is just history that I'm talking here. This has been proven to work since my parents were growing up and even before my parents. But nothing really changes in this country unless the streets and veterans are involved. That's usually how it goes. Otherwise, things are going to continue to be the way it's going to be. And the main reason is because a lot of people that's living in America, you got to think about it like this. These are foreigners coming over here, living over here. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a damn. They just want to get what they can get, and that's it. There's no standards when it comes to most of these people. And it's do whatever, however, with whoever, whenever. That's it. They take what they can get. That's it. You know? They don't give a damn. And if you really pay attention, most of the people that you work around, they usually have immigrant parents, or at least one of them, and sometimes both. Or they probably just got here like two to 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So they don't give a damn. They come, see, because where they from is cutthroat, backstabbing. This is why things keep happening the way it does. This is why things are corrupt. That's one of the main reasons why. It's an abuse of power. Anybody with a little bit of a brain know that you shouldn't charge a 17-year-old as an adult. Anyone with any logical brain knows this. Anyone with common sense knows this, logically speaking. And you keep in mind how I say anyone in the right mind, right mindset, logically speaking, know that a 17-year-old should not be tried. This shouldn't be going to trial, right? Now, there's a lot of druggies online. There's a lot of druggies online. There's a lot of druggies offline. So a lot of these people that leave comments online, mostly, it's a lot of druggies, a lot of drug addicts, a lot of foreigners. So, but anybody with any sense knows this shouldn't be going to trial. You know, I mean, what DA? What is the DA going to get out of this trial? I don't know. I mean, it's one thing to be going after a celebrity. You know, because a lot of DAs target certain people or try to make examples of certain people because they want to kind of be famous, right? Just like Diddy. The Diddy case is more of the DA he's opportunist. You know, he's wanted to be famous. A lot of these DAs want to be famous. They use it as kind of a business so they can move up. So if they can use a celebrity to become famous, and to get promoted, they'll do it. But how does that apply to Carmelo Anthony? He ain't famous. Nobody know who he is or knew who he was before all this shit happens. But what would the DA be getting out of this? I don't know. Now, because a lot of these guys make backdoor deals that we don't know about. You know, everything is not what it seems most of the time. Especially on the surface. You know, because it's like we have two different worlds. It's a shadow world, and then it's, well, I'd say three different worlds. The surface level is, the everyday shit. You go to work, you look at the news, you go to the store, that's surface level. Stuff you see on TV, that's surface level. That's the common man and common woman, right? In the shadow world are things that people don't talk about or don't want to talk about. And they might not even know that it exists. Every once in a while, something will pop out in that shadow world. That's the world that some people call the dark side. That's the world where somebody's wife is, living a double life. She's getting a train ran on her. It's that type of world. She goes on a vacation goes out of town for a weekend and get a train ran on her by 20 guys. And then goes back home and act like nothing happened over the weekend. See, that's that shadow world. That's something that a lot of guys don't want to talk about. A lot of guys don't want to talk about that. That's too hard to take. And then you got a world. Let's take Carmelo Anthony case, for example. Where the world, in that world, you have DAs and attorneys and judges are making backdoor deals to see how much money they can get amongst each other. Outside of the money that the attorney already has for the case. So the attorney is getting paid 2-3 times. And you as the client, that your attorney, he ain't telling you that. That's, most people, once they pay the attorney the money to represent them, their case, they'll say something like, "Oh, he's representing me." No, not really. He's representing the bar. He's not really representing you like that. He wants to make money. These attorneys are money motivated. At least the good ones, anyway. Now, a lot of these attorneys are trash. As anything, so you have some good people good at their craft, and some people are trash. That's just what it is. Like you have good business people, you have bad business people, and mediocre business people, and attorneys are no different. They're no different. That's just a part of the game. But you want to try to get the best one as humanly possible, and this is going to depend on how much money you have, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't have the money to get these types of attorneys And which is partly the reason why, probably the main reason why they end up in jail, and why they have to plea out. But fortunately, this young man don't have to plea out because last I checked, I think they started a GoFundMe a couple months ago, and I think they started another one like last month. And they're gonna have to have a dream team, kind of like Diddy, to get out of this shit. They're gonna have to have a lot of money to get out of this, because if Karmelo gets convicted, he's gonna get life from prison in this little old town in Texas where everything is corrupt. If he get convicted, he's gonna get life in prison. And if he gets found guilty, and if he tries to appeal, there's a good chance that appeal is gonna get knocked down. Now, if he does get convicted, I would try to get. That's when I really would tell my attorney to transfer my case to Dallas. That's when that would be the next move, in my opinion. If he gets convicted in that little old hillbilly town, I would tell my attorney the next move is file an appeal and transfer my case to Dallas. That'd be the next logical move, in my opinion, if he gets found guilty. But anybody in their right mind knows that this kid this shouldn't even be a trial. Shouldn't even be a trial date. So hey, smash the like button. Smash the like button. This is it's unfortunate, but we live in a country where it's not perfect. Even, there's no country that I've ever been to is perfect. I haven't found it yet. If you find a country that's perfect, let me know so I can go and visit. But I haven't found no country, no city, no town, no county that's perfect. I haven't found it. If you find a place that's perfect, let me know. I want to visit there. Please let me know. Let me know what this perfect place is. Boy, I want to visit there so badly. And if you find a perfect person, man or woman, I want to meet them. I haven't found them yet either. I'm still trying to find the perfect woman. I haven't found it yet. At least the perfect woman for me anyway. I met a bunch of women. Oh yeah. But they ain't none perfect. They all got their little, their pros and cons. Some people say the flaws or whatever. They all got that thing with them. Be like, oh, okay. She has her ways, not necessarily bad ways, but but as long as the good overweigh the bad, hey, I guess that's what we got to live with. And plus, she respects me, I guess that we got to live with that, Now, if at any given point she becomes disrespectful, now we got to cut her off, But we don't live in a perfect world. That's my point. We live in a world where things have been corrupt for so long, and people like the way it is because that's big money. There's money to be made off the corruption of us, mainly. You have to realize we're the cash money machine in this country. I don't know if you realize that or not. We're the cash money generating machine of this country. If we disappear, this country flops. Remember that. I know there's a lot of foreigners coming over here, but they ain't like us. They're not like us. Because the foreigners, the people coming over here, they don't give a fuck about this country. They don't give a fuck nothing about it. And they're not willing to sacrifice to do anything that has, in regards to this country at all. And look, if a war broke out tomorrow, and if you ask most foreigners, are you willing to fight? Hell no. That's most of them gonna be like, I'm over 90% is gonna be like, hell no. How I know they say hell no? Because they wouldn't fight for their own country. Because most of them ran over here from their own country. Nobody hates their country more than themselves. Because people lie and say, hey, oh, I love my country. No, you don't. You came over here. No, nobody leaves anything that they love. That's a lie. Logically speaking, that doesn't make any sense. Nobody leaves anything that they claim to love. Nobody does that. Nobody leaves their family that they claim they love. Nobody leaves their wife or their husband that they claim they love. No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. They don't care about their country or their family that much. They wouldn't have left. And some of these people, like I said, they come from a place where it's cutthroat. When they leave, they can't ever go back to where they came from. They done fucked over everybody. They done sold everybody out when they come over here. That's why when Trump passed that executive order, started deporting people, all these people were crying in them streets because they know they can't go back. They know what's going to happen if they go back. A lot of them are going to be dealt with by their families when they go back. And it's not going to end well. And another thing you have to realize is when you go to court, these are the same people you're dealing with in most cases. You're dealing with foreigners. Like, let's take the Diddy case. The judge is a foreigner. The DA is a foreigner. Diddy ain't no foreigner. So everybody in the courtroom is against Diddy. That's why he ain't got no bail. They're acting like Diddy's a damn killer, serial killer, some shit like that. I mean, damn. I mean, if they're doing, I think Diddy, I think his company, I think he got $1 billion company at this point, $1 billion enterprise at this point. If the money he got can't get him out of jail, at least for a couple days, But boy, what's the benefit of being rich and wealthy? I mean, how much money do you have to get out of jail today? I mean, how much money does it really take? That's what I want to know. I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe you know. I don't know. How much money does it really take to buy your freedom back? I wonder. How much money does it take to buy your freedom back? I mean, the Diddy case was, I mean, the whole shit was bogus. Supposed to be a RICO case, but it looked like it ended up being a domestic violence case. And a sex party case. With prostitutes and hoes. I mean, well, Diddy basically, he's going to jail because Cassie bought some damn prostitutes. Basically. And I don't know where you from. Where I'm from, people don't go to jail for buying no prostitute. You just pay a couple dollars out and that's it. Where I'm from, you ain't going to jail for no hoes. And the funny thing is, the people that's charging Diddy for the hoes, even they bought some hoes before. But boy, how hypocritical is that? The people that make the laws are hypocrites. They doing the same thing Diddy doing. But they ain't going to charge themselves because the laws ain't for them. The laws is for us. You know? So this is a good definition of what I mean when I say an abuse of power. People that make the laws they don't have to follow the laws. Think about that. Let that sink in for a second. The people that make the laws don't follow the laws. They're like untouchable, so to speak. You know? So this is why I'm not so quick to be so judgmental whenever I hear somebody being charged for something. Because I know how corrupt the justice system is. I understand how people manipulate it. DAs and attorneys manipulate it big time. And see, once you go in that courtroom, it ain't about who right, what's wrong, morals and values. It's about who's going to win once the trial starts. That's what it's about. Who's going to win so they can get some money. That's what it's really about. Now that your attorney already got your money, But he has the opportunity to get even more money if he wins. Short-term and long-term opportunities. But you don't know that. You don't even care about that. You just want to get off. But that's your attorney's motivation and the DA's motivation as well. They want to be famous, some of these people. So they're in the courtroom playing with your life while you sitting there hoping that you get off and get found not guilty. It's a cold game, man. It's a cold game, man. You know. But anybody in their right mind knows that Karmelo Anthony shouldn't be going to trial. First degree murder, that's ridiculous. You know, you don't even have to know the law to understand that this is this is wild. You know, you can be ignorant of the law and know. My grandmother knows that this is ridiculous. If she was living, a 17-year-old dude being charged first degree murder, my grandma would say this is ridiculous. And if my grandma would be living today, she would be 107 years old if she was living today. And she would say this is ridiculous. But hey, we live in the United States of America, and we live around people that abuse their authority, and it's an abuse of power. They abuse their job positions. And the reason why it keeps happening, like I said, because people don't give a damn. And even the ones that do care and try to do something, once they show their hand, they get ganged up on. They get ganged up on once they show their hand. And the mob, and always remember, the mob will always gang up on the strongest. Always keep that in mind. My dad told me about that early. My dad told me the mob will always gang up on the strongest. He told me that early, boy. The mob will always gang up on the strongest. So that's basically all I had to say. Smash, like the video. I didn't plan on being on here long this evening. You did. So like, share the video, leave your comments below. I want to hear what you think. Until next time, I'm out. Peace. Alright. Just got the call, it's going down tonight. It's a lot of goodbyes here tonight. But then I saw the sky and that I like. Here from Cali, I live in the valley. Then you look same.